gun game. Get kills with each weapon to win.
Howdy do to all of you. This is Emmett Watkins Jr., also known as EJ Spun61 on various internet platforms, and I am here to do a thing I haven't done in a while. I think I've been experimenting on what to do for movie reviews and stuff, and I think I've settled on doing something that I've done in the past. Back in the day on my YouTube channel, my personal YouTube channel, I used to do just video commentaries where I would just sit here in front of a mic and talk to you about a movie I just saw while some gameplay goes over the top of it. And I figured, hey, let's go back to that. That way I can ramble about these movies that I like so much, that I enjoy so much, and I can provide myself an outlet to talk about that stuff again. And also get more in tune and get more in the groove with editing video content and such. I haven't been able to make too many videos in the last couple weeks, especially the second half of 2019, because that was just a very hectic and busy time in life. But I have a little bit of a lighter load for now. So I want to get into that groove. I want to get back into that stuff. So I figured, hey, what better way to get back in the groove than with doing some movie commentaries, especially since I'm not playing too many, brand new games at the moment. So I figured this is a good time, and I'm trying to get in the habit of watching more movies in 2020. So yeah, let's go ahead and start off with this review right now. Today we're going to be talking about Uncut Gems, which is a movie that I just saw actually earlier today, about 12 hours ago. Now I'm recording this super duper late. But I caught a showing right before work because this is kind of my routine now every Tuesday. Ever since I saw Star Wars, I believe, at the end of last year, I've been keeping a tradition every Tuesday when, the tickets are way discounted. I go out and see a movie, and I've been keeping that tradition alive for the last few weeks, mainly because there's a lot of Oscar bait that's coming out right now. I shouldn't say Oscar bait, but just, the award type movies that are coming out. I saw Knives Out. Uncut Gems is the one I'm talking about today. Planning on seeing Little Women next, and then 1917 after that. But yeah, I just wanted to see all these movies, and this is something I'm going to be doing probably until time doesn't permit or there isn't a movie I care about in theaters. But we're going to go ahead and start with Uncut Gems to begin with. So this movie, and I tweeted about this earlier, Uncut Gems is like, I'm just going to actually read the tweet directly since I'm sitting here right in front of my computer. So let's not waste any time with this metaphor. Watching Uncut Gems is like when you really have to take a shit and you spend over 2 hours just trying to find an open latrine, only to find that there's a line. And then once you finally take a seat, it comes out in a shape you didn't expect, but you're still glad to have the pressure gone. And I think that's the most accurate way I can describe it. So we're going to be spoiler free in this first section of the review. And so without any spoilers, how I'll explain it is that I like the movie. I liked it quite a bit. It's a film by I believe you pronounce it the Safdie brothers, or the Safdie brothers. And in any case, I watched their movie Good Time with Robert Pattinson. Came out a few years back. I really, really enjoyed that movie. I thought that movie was awesome. I thought it was great. Another intense thrill ride of just, anticipation and stuff. Keeps you on the edge of your seat the entire film. That movie was great. And so because I had seen Good Time, I was expecting Uncut Gems to go very similarly to that movie. Just from the vibe of the trailer of Uncut Gems, it seems like it was a similar situation where it was going to be very frantic, very desperate, and a lot of doing things that you don't want to do, but you kind of need to do in order to get through this difficult time. That's just the vibe that I got from it, just watching the trailers and everything. And watching the film, in some ways, that is exactly what happened, and in some other ways my expectations were subverted. It's quite a bit different from Good Time, like I said, in ways that I like and in ways I don't like, but overall I believe Uncut Gems is a great movie, even more so than Good Time, because Good Time moved at a fast enough clip where you didn't really have time to think about the anxiety of the matter and how close all of his close calls were. Where in Uncut Gems, well, I'll compare it like this. In Good Time, that whole movie takes place over the course of like a day, maybe even just a night. where Uncut Gems takes place over the course of a weekend. So it's not just a whole ride that just keeps going until the very end. Uncut Gems gives you a lot of time to just sit there in the quiet, in the silence of it all, and it has moments that aren't supposed to be stressful and aren't supposed to be tense. It has moments like that where the tension builds to the point where it's kind of like an up and down roller coaster while you're watching the movie, where you'll feel like, oh Lord, something's gonna happen. Or it's not that you even think something's gonna happen, because that's like a Quentin Tarantino type thing, where a lot of his extended dialogue scenes will have parts where it's just a lot of talking and you just know some shit's about to pop off and someone's getting shot or some violence is about to spark off. That's like a Quentin Tarantino thing. Uncut Gems is not like that. There is just a very big looming thing in the distance, that not that far off in the distance, but in the distance, and depending on the scene, that thing in the distance feels more immediate or less immediate, more immediate, less immediate. And then those times of quiet kind of almost makes you forget that, this thing is looming in the distance. But then as soon as it's no longer quiet, or as soon as that happy time is no longer here, you're immediately back to like, oh man, we gotta work to prepare for that thing in the distance. So just anxiety inducing AF. I told my friends this at work right after I got out of the movie. My stomach was hurting with the last 20 or 30 minutes of that movie, because the anxiety just built up so harshly that I was physically feeling it. I haven't had a movie do that to me in a long time, or really ever, maybe. So that was a very bizarre thing to go through. Other than that, it's just great. Adam Sandler's great, of course. Newcomer Julia Fox, who, now I'm gonna be honest, heard a lot about Julia Fox before walking into Uncut Gems. There was a big talk about her, and she definitely, I can see why people would be excited about her, to say it more politely. But she was great. Beyond just being eye candy, she was actually a great actress. Great performance in this movie, and it was very. She played a nice. She played a nice foil to Adam Sandler's character. I don't know if foil is the 100% correct term, but she played a good opposite to him, and just for that alone, I felt like she was great. And she had a lot of good scenes. I feel like everybody had a good few scenes. Kevin Garnett's in the film, of course, as you've probably seen from the trailers. He's decent in this movie. He's not any of the main characters or anything, but he's decent. Lakeith Stanfield is in this movie. He's pretty great. The Weeknd's in here. And The Weeknd's in here for like a cameo amount of time. It's very brief, but he's in here. I feel like no one really drugged their feet. Oh, and Idina Menzel is in this movie, which surprises me because I know her as the girl from Frozen. So to see her in some hardcore shit like this mere weeks after Frozen 2 came out, that's kind of wild in my head. But then again, Adam Sandler is the main character of this movie, and that's Mr. Comedy. So hey, you can't just typecast people, I guess, or you can't just let people stick to one particular type of movie. But yeah, everyone did a great job. Once again, Safdie brothers, great at directing this. They know how to they know the style of their movies, and they stick to it. And it's a grimy style. It's not clean. It's not pretty. It's uncomfortable in a lot of ways. And it's just a really good style, really good is not a very descriptive adjective. It's just a very raw style. It comes off as very raw, very authentic, to the point where I think from the trailers and stuff, I've had a friend or two ask me, is this based off of real events or something like that? Which is more than just the style of the movie. That's also the plot. It's very grounded. This movie takes place in 2012, so it's very grounded, and it's very, I don't know. It seems like it could really happen, especially with the use of some of the. There's some basketball games referenced in the movie, and I think they actually use the real life footage of these basketball games in the film, so it kind of gives it a little bit more authenticity in that way. So, yeah, it's just very good. The only issue I have with it is that because it's so anxiety inducing, it can be unpleasant. to watch, and not in the way you would think from a movie when it's described as unpleasant. There's not, besides one scene that's actually kind of shocking. There's one scene at the very beginning that, in context, it makes perfect sense. But if I told you out of context that the movie starts this way, you'd be like, "What the fuck?" But in context, it makes perfect sense. Besides that very first scene in the movie, there's no extreme violence. There's no super duper shocking stuff. There's some sexy scenes in here, but you don't see any nudity in the movie. There's a whole lot of language. If you got a problem with the F word or the N word, you might want to watch out. There's a whole lot of language in here, but you know, what else is to be expected? But yeah, overall, this isn't something you should bring your family to by any means. But if you're looking for a thriller, a very like put you on the edge of your seat multiple times, and then especially at the end, put you on the edge so harshly that like the fucking ridge of the chair is gonna cut into your butt. Like that's how hard I was on the edge of my seat. But you know, we had cushioned seats, so I'm just slipping in and out of my chair in the theater, just freaking out. But yeah, if you are curious about the movie, it's a great movie. Go watch it. Just be prepared for some really big emotional roller coasters when it comes to like anticipation and anxiety. Now that we've gotten the spoiler-free section out of the way, let's talk about spoilers a little bit. Now, if you haven't seen the movie, please stop right here, go watch the movie. If you have seen the movie, here's my main issue with it. My main issue is the plot. And I like the plot. I actually loved everything, you know, the ups and downs of the whole plot and everything. It's the ending that has me peeved. I think the ending makes sense for the type of movie it is. I just don't like it, which is kind of a selfish thing to say. But hey, that's art. It's subjective, so it is what it is. My problem with the ending is that, so you know, Adam Sandler. I'm gonna say, if I slip up and say Adam Sessler an accident, that's my bad. I watched a lot of X-Play growing up. Adam Sandler, clearly not the greatest guy. Clearly, you know, a piece of shit. As far as like, you know, his I don't know what you call it, moral compass is concerned. He's clearly opportunistic, greedy, all that in a bag of chips. But he is able to get past it. He had a bunch of lucky breaks that fell through because, you know, because he's had a troubled past and he's done wrong by a lot of people. When his first bet gets canceled by his brother-in-law, who, you know, he owes money to. When that first bet gets canceled, he gets screwed over there. Then it's the selling of the Uncut Gem, he gets screwed over there. It's just a series of him getting screwed over, even when his motives are not entirely pure. And then finally at the end, all of these, you know, stumbles that he has through the entire film, he finally gets his big break at the very end that solves all of his problems and such, yet he still dies anyway. That's the thing that annoyed me. It felt like they were having their cake and eating it too. Which I think is fair. I think it's fine, especially in the case nowadays where there's so many movies that exist. It's hard to tell something without being derivative. So having endings like this where you get a little bit of column A and column B is a great way to differentiate yourself from other films of this ilk. But it just felt not cheap the way he died. It just felt like, damn, like I was rooting for him because I wanted to see him get away with it. And he did, but he doesn't get to enjoy any of the fruits of that labor. So that just felt really, you know, felt upsetting to me, you know? It just felt like, damn, we got this far and he just dies right there. Now, that's the reasons I don't like the ending. Reasons I do enjoy the ending, once thinking about it for a couple more hours today. I enjoyed that, like I said, Adam Sandler's a piece of shit in this movie. I believe his name is Howard. Howard's a piece of shit in this movie. And I think it made sense for him to not get away with his conning, because he did some like, and what I like about Howard's character is that he isn't bad beyond repair. He isn't completely gone. Like, he's not some, you know, murderous, raping, racist a-hole who deserves no sympathy. No, he's just a dude who makes a lot of bad choices. And when it's just a dude who makes a lot of bad choices, you can change those choices. It felt like Howard wasn't Howie or Howard. They call them both in the movie. It feels like he's not beyond saving, which makes you feel like, oh, he could just get, if he just had his one big break, he could go legit. Or if he just had, if he just had this work out for him, then he could turn everything back around and he could, become a better man. Like he wasn't so far gone that, all he did was bet on, he had a betting problem, a compulsive gambler, you might say. And he's just a little bit, schemy and swarmy. He's out here borrowing people's jewelry and pawning it off and, just getting money out of every place he can. He's just not like a reliable he's not a good man, but he's not a bad man. That's my whole thing with him. So when he dies, it feels like, damn, there was an opportunity for him to, be redeemed. I felt like he could very well have been redeemed at some point in his near future. Especially now that he had Julia, played by Julia Fox, of course. Especially now that he had her purity, I feel, might have eventually rubbed off on him. But the thing I like about him dying, to come back around to that point, is that everyone else still benefits from his winnings, and he still dies because he does not deserve those winnings. Like, let's be perfectly clear, that was sheer luck. He did not deserve that money he was going to get from that bet. But Julia sure deserved it, because she was pure of heart, never cheated on this man. And yes, it's an affair, so it's already flawed logic if you ask me here, but she is probably the purest of heart in this film, with the exception of maybe his wife. And I only say maybe because she comes off as a very big bitch, but I think it's fully justified considering, they're planning on getting a divorce and she knows there's another woman and all this other stuff. Like, in context, yeah, it makes sense that you're talking to Adam Sandler like he's nothing, because in your eyes, he is nothing. He's treating you like nothing, so why shouldn't you feel the same way about him? That fully makes sense. But because they don't give her that much more to do in the movie beyond just being an antagonist to Adam Sandler, it comes off as her just being, a bad person on her own, which I know is not the case. But in the movie, Julia, despite being his mistress, I feel she is the most purest of heart in this movie, just because, she was ride or die for Howard. And ride or die, not in the way of like, I will kill someone for you, but in the way of like, I will pay the bills, I will do what I gotta do to just, keep my life going. And I will always ride or die for you. I will get kicked out of the club with you when I'm trying to, shack up with the Weeknd. And it's just stuff like that. She denied the Weeknd's advances. She got that Howard tattoo on her butt. She loved this man, and she ride or died for this man all the way until the end. And you can see that in a lot of the scenes here. But I feel his death is justified, because now I feel so much better about Julia winning, separate from Howard winning. Because, wow, I got too close to the mic there. Sorry about that. Because Julia winning just gives you a more heartwarming feeling. And that's really the thing that I liked about this movie, is that they won the bet. All their problems were solved. It was almost a fairy tale ending, despite the gunshot right at the end and, both Adam Sandler and his brother-in-law getting shot. That's upsetting. But, like, they keep that positive music at the end, despite those two murders. And I feel like that's because Julia leaving with the money is like the best case scenario, because she is the one who was most deserving of that money, because she did everything right. She was a good person and just did all of the trustworthy things you would expect out of somebody. So it only made sense that she was able to get the money. For Adam Sandler's kids and everything, that's a whole nother thing where I feel like hopefully Julia will take the money and get in contact with the family and offer some of it to them or something along those lines. Especially since, hey, if they're robbing Adam Sandler's or Howard's jewelry store to get all that money back, then they don't need the fucking money from the bet. Fuck that. And I'll also say, I really didn't like. It just dropped my heart when he pulled that gun at the end. Like, that just really fucked me up. Not when he pulled it when he was behind the glass, but like when he, shot them at the end. That really upset me. I was really disappointed. Just because it took the joy out of the ending. Like, at the end, you're like, holy shit, they did it. Holy shit, they did it. And then, they die anyway. So it kind of took the punch out of that. But the more I think about it, the more I'm like, okay, that does make sense. That does fit with how I feel this should play out for all of the parties involved. So, can't be too sad about it. But I initially wasn't happy at all about it. But yeah, just some really good scenes. The scene where Adam Sandler is naked in the trunk, that scene just felt like, oh, he's at the end of his rope. He's pathetic. And I think that was one of the final straws for Idina Menzel's character, his wife. That was one of the final straws for her, just seeing like, oh man, this man really ain't shit. I'm so sick of him, and I'm just counting down the days to where I no longer have to be involved with him. That whole thing was just, heartbreaking. Everything with honestly, like I said, when I said earlier that the last 20 or 30 minutes just gave me the most anxiety in the whole movie, it's from the moment that he makes that bet with Kevin Garnett, when Kevin Garnett comes back to his shop to buy the uncut gem from him once and for all, and then he makes that bet with Kevin Garnett using the money that he was about to give to them to repay his debts. Oh my god. That whole thing was just so like, I was like, what the fuck are you doing? What the fuck are you doing? And like, it even hurt more because towards the right before Kevin Garnett's assistant called him saying that Kevin was still interested in the stone after the auction. Even before that, it was what was the word? Adam Sandler just came in all beaten up, bloodied up, and just came here and broke down. And then Julia's like trying to comfort him in the chair. It seemed like it was over right there. And I knew there was a couple more minutes coming because, I had my watch on. But I was still surprised that, oh, Kevin Garnett is coming. I was still surprised that, oh, the events are still going to go. I thought it could have been over right there and something from out of left field was going to happen. No, like, everything worked out. He just made one last stupid push that got him killed. And so, yeah, that's my thing. And I will say this real quick, too, as well. People were talking about this movie so highly, so tremendously highly, that I was very like, oh, shit. Like, of course, I feel like Uncut Gems, now that I've seen it especially, I feel like this is definitely deserving of, Academy Award recognition, but just award recognition in general. It doesn't have to necessarily be the Academy Awards, but just that type of stuff. Excuse me. And so with all that talk, and not just the award type, just people tweeting about it, being like, oh my god, this is my favorite movie ever. I've seen at least 2 people be like, this is one of my favorite movies of the entire decade that we just wrapped up. And so I was like, damn, that's some really high praise. And I gotta be honest, I like Good Time more than this movie. Which is, probably blasphemous to say. I still think Uncut Gems is great, and once again, worth a watch, but I like Good Time more than this movie. I should actually probably go to Letterboxd and tell you specifically what ranking I gave to Good Time, because I always keep my Letterboxd on the bookmark bar so that I can just click through and see what I rate things. All right, I gave 4 stars to Good Time, which is, to me, since it's a half star, that's like an 8 out of 10 to me. I'd probably say Uncut Gems is about that same level. It's probably an 8 out of 10, but it's just, I felt like the plot of Good Time was not only easier to follow, but like the metaphor of it and the allegoric nature. I might just be making up words to sound smart, but like the allegory of the whole plot and the whole like comparisons to each other, and I felt like that whole part of it was a lot easier to see in Good Time. Where in Good Time, without spoiling too much of it, I guess, that's all about what is his name? Robert Pattinson's character, who's clearly a bad person, trying to do what he can for his brother, who's clearly an innocent person. but doing all the wrong things to do right by his brother. Where in this case, Uncut Gems, it feels more like just sheer chaos, where Adam Sandler is just trying to keep his own head above water, and then, you know, if his family's provided for, if Julia's provided for, all that is just, you know, comes with him keeping his head above water. Where Robert Pattinson, yes, he was trying to preserve himself, but it seemed like he was also out for his brother as well. Where Adam Sandler is just even more of a sleazy person. So, because Adam Sandler is more of a sleazeball in this movie, it feels like he's less out for the people he cares about and more just out for him, which makes it harder, not just harder to like relate and accept him and, you know, find him a, you know, good character to follow in the movie. It's less about that. It's more that just, it's hard to apply that. Actually, it might just be the fact that it's not as personable. It's not as personable to just have this sleazeball who's doing stuff, but it is just as entertaining because he's a sleazeball to see like how far shit goes with him. So yeah, I enjoyed the movie. Like I said, worth a watch. I probably said that 5 to 10 times now, but if you're looking for something to watch, Uncut Gems is not a waste of your money. I will say, because it's not like a continuous thrill ride like Good Time, the 2 hour and 14-minute runtime of this movie, I'm not going to say it drags, but at a certain point you will feel it. Like I said, I knew the runtime because I was checking my watch, but I only checked my watch because, and it's not one of those things where like, oh, this scene is boring, is this almost done? It's that you're checking your watch to be like, okay, did he, because like I said, roller coaster up and down, your emotions are going up and down, the anxiety gets stronger and then depresses and then gets stronger and then slows down. There's a part, once you get like an hour and a half in the movie, every time like the anxiety goes down and you think things are okay, you're hoping like, all right, please tell me that's it, and Adam Sandler doesn't do a stupid thing to progress his troubles further. And then he does progress it further. And then it's just a constant back and forth of just like, all right, we finally did it. No, we're not. Okay, we finally did it. Oh, no, it's all gone. All right, that's it. But wait, another opportunity. It's just like constantly like, just like, it's like a lawnmower that when you try to turn it on, it's on and then it revs down and then it revs back up and then it revs back down and then you got to crank it again. It's like a lot of that, but it's in a good way though. Not in a way where I feel like the plot's never meandering. It's not in a way where I feel like it overstays its welcome. It just takes you on a ride, and I think this ride is just is probably more sophisticated than the ride that Good Time takes you on. Where Good Time is just like a upward. Think of like a roller coaster. You're going up on the roller coaster, and then Good Time is just straight downhill the entire time. Maybe sometime you get a loop or so, but it's all going in a downward direction. Where Uncut Gems, you're getting some going, you start going up, and then you're going down very sharply, and then you'll do some loop-de-loops and twirls, and then you're going down again, and then some flips and stuff, and then you're going down again, then you'll go up a little bit, then you'll go down again, then you go up, then you go down, and then a couple more twirls, and then you go down, you get the point that I'm making. So yeah, it's a more, plot-wise, it's a more sophisticated movie. But I also feel that makes it a little bit more complicated, a little bit harder to follow. But I think you can follow it still. Just long story short, Uncut Gems is worth a watch. So go watch it if you're curious about it. Go watch Good Time, especially if you're curious about that one, their earlier film with Robert Pattinson. I swear to you, you will not recognize Robert Pattinson in this movie. But yeah, that's what I got for today. And thank you guys for listening to this commentary. I appreciate you. I'm trying to get back into this commentary game. I'm trying to get back into more frequent content creation. I've kind of, like I said, at the end of 2019, very busy time in life and also very unpleasant time for me, just personally, like mentally and stuff. Just wasn't doing that great. But I really enjoy doing what I'm doing right now. So I want to get back into it. And hopefully I want to be a little bit more brief about it. I know this video is going to be 30 minutes long, but for a lot of my other like album reviews I've been doing in the past couple months, those have been just hour plus long videos, and I want to try and be a little bit better about that. So I'm going to try and, you know, concise my thoughts a little bit better. So work with me on that. Maybe I just need to go back to relying on notes here and there to help my ideas just be more smooth, but that's besides the point. We're gonna go ahead and wrap up this commentary. Once again, thank you guys for watching. If you want to follow me on Twitter, that will be in the description. And then of course check out all the stuff that I write for VGU.tv. You can go to that website as well. And without further ado, this has been Emmett Watkins Jr., also known as EJ Sponge 61 on all social media platforms. And thank you guys for chilling with me. And as I always say, keep it real, keep it trill. Bye bye.